Hello and welcome to the Indoor Farmer. I'm your host, Waylon, and this is my first episode, and let me just tell you guys, this has been a long time coming. A lot of folks that I've talked to, friends and family, some of you know who you are, I've told about this stuff for years. I do plan to make this into something bigger and bigger and add on to it and make this show something that can be really entertaining, but also bring everything back to a sense of self-sufficiency and farming and knowledge about anything and everything that has to do with human needs. My show primarily at the beginning here is just going to be a little bit of a recap on what I'm learning, what I'm going through, what kind of lessons I've learned, and what kind of mistakes that I'm making, and things that I think are funny in the process of learning how to farm. Also, starting your own business, and then the ups and downs of that can be very difficult at times. So let's just jump into it and show you where I'm at so far. So this is the packaging. I got this whole thing from Amazon, and as you can see that I have just a 10-gallon fish tank, and there's a reservoir that goes on top. You'll see where it goes together later. But there's a lot of things here that I found out later that I actually really didn't need, or they were unnecessary for an aquaponics setup. Some of these were additional buys that you would purchase if you just wanted to have fish in a fish tank. Let's see. So you see it's put together there. I actually did not need that filter system on the bottom. I did not need the air rock, and I'll explain why. You can see the first few fish in there. My prize fish there, Goldie and Gus. More Goldie and Gus. They're still doing well. Let's see. Good. Okay, my first little seedlings, little sprouting. It was a big deal for me. I never grew anything in the house. I never grew anything outdoors. This is pretty unusual, and it's something that, for me, it's very new. And the lettuce here is growing pretty good. I actually did not know what was going on for a while. I didn't see it sprouting for a couple of days, so I got nervous, and I started to dig around in there, and I moved all the seeds around, and I ended up getting a bunch down into the fish tank, and then I ended up clumping up the rest of them in the middle, and it became a big mess. But that was a learning experience. You'll see here shortly how you can kind of see there that most of them are in the middle. That's where most of the nutrients comes from anyway, from the center of the reservoir. Lettuce is coming up good. I'm excited. I didn't know how big it would get even. I didn't know what kind of lettuce this was. There are like 9 different kinds of lettuce, which is crazy. I did not know that. I'm going to try to grow a bunch of different things, obviously, but this is all a learning process, trial and error, lots of error, just figuring things out. Lettuce is getting bigger. You can see it's under a red and blue LED light, because that light is just sort of cuts out a lot of the other spectrums that aren't necessary for the light. I mean, lettuce likes this stuff more than anything. Anything green, leafy greens. And you can see here, so it's starting to get full grown. But you can also see these little dead spots. Some people have said that's like a disease area, but what I think is going on here is that the little fish that I have are just not enough to keep up with the nutrients that's needed for how many lettuce I had going. So I think I just kind of overwhelmed it. You can see over here too, pretty good. But one way to get around that is to have a bigger system. And when I have a bigger system, you can have a sort of a longer or a multi-tiered plant growing area where you can see towards the end of the nutrients where the plants are not growing as well, or maybe they are more disease seeds like this, but you'll see a big difference from the plants in the beginning and the plants at the end. But right here, everything's sort of clumped together right on top of the fish, so it's going to be hard to tell for a while. You might be wondering what those are that are growing the plants. Those are little clay pebbles, just little clay pebbles that kind of take the place of the dirt, the grow medium they call it. Yeah, it's just a little video here. Skip ahead. Yeah, I'll get better at the editing process and maybe get the show growing a little bigger. Pun mostly unintended. Here's a little clip of me harvesting my first harvest there. I was pretty excited. You can see I have a nice beer gut going on here. We'll see if we can fix that as the show goes on, because it's all about nutrition. I'm doing this for health, for farm to table purposes. I want to have it in my house. I want to have it all year long. There are a lot of drawbacks to that. You have to have electricity all the time. You have to have a backup battery in case of storm. But right now, this is just practice and just learning. And I did eat, about half of this lettuce. Throw it on a sandwich, put it on cheeseburgers, what have you. It was exciting. It looks and feels like lettuce, I say. So I started talking to the camera early on, trying to... This is regrowing the first harvest here. Actually regrows right out of the old stalks. Oh, that's beautiful. This may not seem exciting to you, but this was very exciting to me at the time. And I did not figure out how to position the camera, so a lot of these long shots like this, I'll figure this out. I'll get all that down. Eventually, I'd like to get you guys, you listeners, you community members, send in your pictures of your garden. Send in something interesting that you did with a small space that you had, or anything that has to do with self-sustainability. I mean, it doesn't have to be produce. It could be mushrooms or honey. I know a lot of beekeepers out there. Anything that has to do with that. I want people to send in their pictures, and I will post it up and showcase it on the show. Let's skip ahead here. I did a little tedious, not so much weeding, but pruning and general cleaning up of anything that's not so desirable. This show is just going to be a quick, sort of update for a lot of my family and friends who are interested in this, but not quite ready to jump in, or really there's nothing they can do yet, because you can see how small of a setup I have. There's a lot more to go into that, and I'll have a lot more to talk about it shortly. Episode 2 and 3 will be giving you an idea of what else is to come. This picture here is interesting though, because you can see the lettuce I have going on one side, and in the middle is mint. And this mint overtook so much that I had to get rid of, I think, 5 other different seeds that I was trying to grow. I did not realize how invasive the mint was, so that is a big issue in aquaponics. You have to only have so much nutrients, and you don't want to add in man-made chemicals, because that makes it non-organic, or more or less like hydroponics. Aquaponics is more of an organic side, because you're using the fish waste in a method that's been done for 1,000 years. So this is funny because the mint just went crazy. The lettuce could still grow because it doesn't need a lot, but everything else had to go. You'll see the root systems here shortly. Now, this is a picture that is 1,000 lessons here. This filing cabinet I was using because it could hold the weight of the fish tank. But what was going on is the condensation from the tank was actually going underneath and eating away at the metal of the top. This is all rust that you see. It started peeling away the paint, and then started rusting. So I had to, in an emergency, send it back, or switch everything over to this other tank, and it was hectic to say the least. I had about an hour video of me doing that. I wanted to speed up and make it look funny, but I'm not there yet on the editing. Okay. Let's back up a second there. You see the new fish tank, or the is on a actual aquarium holder, and this is a breeding tank, and I tried it. I put the mama fish in there. She's definitely pregnant, prego, but she wouldn't do anything. She would not make the babies, so I don't know what's going on with my guppies. I think maybe I just have too small an area, and maybe I did something wrong, and they're not into it. But they are surviving. That's all I can really ask for. I want them to breed a little bit, but we'll see what happens there. Moving along. Okay, you'll see here where I took out when I had to transfer things over. Oh, this is just, to show you that I was actually eating some of the lettuce. I cut off any of the dead spots. You'll see here that the lettuce root system was pretty big, pretty massive, but you'll see that that's really nothing compared to the mint. This mint just went nuts, and that's why it just killed everything else off. So I got to be careful about what I put in there. This is an interesting picture. I have more photos of this, but you can see towards the bottom here, these are actually potato stalks. I bought a single potato at the grocery store, cut it into pieces. I put it in this trough that's got dirt in it, and fed it the fish water, and the potatoes just loved it. They went so crazy that they are so high up that I couldn't hold them up anymore. I didn't have anything to hang them up, to attach them to. So I think I'm going to try that again when I can rig something up better. But I had to sort of just let them die off. I tried to hold them up as best I could with different things, and it wasn't enough. So we'll see if we can do that again sometime. Oh, look, here we go. Our first satisfied customer, my son. So yeah, that was the first little bit of what I've gone through. I mean, I've gone through a little more since then, but I wanted to cut this up into more like weekly episodes and make it about what I've done each week during that time, and we'll see what we can expand on from there.